This video is going to be the assembly and product review of the Stepcraft 840 CNC machine. So first, I'm happy to announce a small partnership with Stepcraft. I'm super excited to work with them, and to get one of these machines in my shop is unreal to me. I cannot wait to get this thing going. So diving into the build, I first just cleaned out this back corner of my shop and put together a small table from 2x4s and MDF. And then I unboxed everything, made sure everything was laid out and clear, and then I started building it. The instruction manual does a really good job illustrating all the parts and each step of the build. And that's reassuring because it was a little daunting taking all the parts out and getting this huge instruction manual. So getting started, it was pretty straightforward and fairly easy to put together. The assembly starts with this plate here, and this holds the spindle to the X and Z axis. And there's two limit switches, and you can see them being wired in the top shot. Next I worked on the Z-axis motor, and that gets threaded into the plate that was just assembled, and that whole carriage moves up and down on the Z-axis aluminum track, and you can see that here. Next I worked on the two arms that ride in the Y-axis, and these arms hold the X-axis above the work surface, and you'll see that come together in a later shot. And once they were together, I fit them into the Y-axis track. At first they were a little too tight, but they come with pins to adjust the alignment, and that helps you get the play exactly right where they slide freely but there's no wobble in them. Here it's coming together. The arms are being put on the X-axis, and in the top shot I'm pulling the wires through and connecting the X-axis stepper motor to the rest of the wire bundle. Next I worked on the motor for the Y-axis and the limit switch. Once I got the whole arm assembly in, I connected the pulleys together to the Y-axis motor using a belt. And once the motor moves, the whole arm assembly moves together. And here I'm just tensioning it with a little Allen key. At this point I was very anxious to see something move, so I was manually moving the belt with my hand, and you could see the whole arm assembly move back and forth, which is kind of cool. Next I worked on wiring up the motherboard, and this step wasn't difficult, it was just a little annoying more than anything. At this point you put together about 90% of the machine, and all the wires lead to a spot that's under the machine and it's hard to access, so you really have to either prop up the machine or hold it up while you wire it, and it was just a little difficult to access all the wires because some of them were short at this point. So at this point it's pretty much all complete. I still had to double check that the wiring and the motors were correct, and I still had to align the X, Y, and Z axis to each other to make sure everything was square. But as for the assembly part, that's all pretty much done, which is awesome. So if you're watching this and considering buying a CNC machine for your shop, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Putting a kit together like this and building a CNC machine takes a lot of time and effort. And even after it's 100% assembled, you're still going to have to make sure everything's aligned. There's going to be steps where you have to disassemble parts and make sure everything's correct. On the upside though, if you're interested in a Stepcraft and you don't want to go through all this effort putting it together, they do sell pre-assembled machines ready to go out of the box, which is really nice too. And that definitely crossed my mind when I was purchasing mine. So getting back to the video, I'm just uploading the software so I could run the machine. And unfortunately you can't upload it on a Mac because it's not supported. So I resorted to an old laptop from college, and this thing is really a piece of junk. I uploaded the software, but it wasn't really working properly, even though it said it was supported Windows 7, which that laptop was. So long story short, a lot of fussing around, I just broke down and bought a new laptop with Windows 10 and everything worked fine. So here on the new laptop, I re-uploaded all the software and everything seems to work, which is awesome. And here I'm actually moving the spindle using the arrow keys, and seeing the thing actually move after spending so much time putting it together was such a relief, and it was actually pretty cool to do that. So learning the software took a little bit of time and playing around with it, but there's a lot of good content online and information about how the tool paths work and everything, so that really did help, and I'll link some of the resources that I use down in the description. So what you're seeing here is the first tool path that I actually cut with the machine, and it's definitely a little bit of a learning curve to get the feed rate and the spindle speed right, because you can kind of hear the bit struggling right now. In the end the cut came out really nice and clean, but for my comfort level I think I was pushing the spindle just a little bit too hard. After that first test of the machine, I was very keen on trying something else out, so I cut Long Island woodworking into a Long Island shaped cutting board just as a sign for my shop, and I think it came out pretty nice. I still gotta work on getting the feed rate and the spindle speed right so there's no tear out in the letters, but for the majority, for my second cut, I think it came out pretty good. Looking really closely at the letters, they're pretty clean, which is awesome. So in conclusion, I think this Stepcraft machine is absolutely amazing. It has blown all my expectations out of the water. Yes, the build process took a lot of time and effort, but in the end, I think the product speaks for itself and it was well worth the time. So I'm definitely going to be integrating this machine in a lot of future projects. So if you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing in the shop, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and find me on Instagram because I post more frequently there. I'm also linking Stepcraft's website in the description, so definitely check out a lot of their cool products. Thank you very much guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.